Yeah. David is great, man. I mean, he's been great to work with on this. Very supportive dude, man. You know, it carries extra weight too. The history he has with guitar players. So when he's kind of in your corner personally and like believes in you, it does make me feel good. I mean, he's worked with a lot of great guitar players, and
yeah, that be yourself.
Telling me about working with Jimmy Page and Richie Blackmore and stuff like this. So I mean, this stuff like that a guy like me can very much appreciate in Blizzard Boss. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go with Blizzard. I'm having a good time with the whole experience of playing with these guys. We all get along really well. We mesh musical mix of vibes. Everybody comes from their own place in this particular unit, but it's a great hybrid of guys like Tommy Aldridge and Red Beach who have been with David a long time and worked with them, and guys like myself who are a little newer with David but real enthused about it all. So we've got this cool mesh. We went everywhere last year. I mean, for going through Europe, and ended with that big co-headlining run with Def Leppard in the UK. Those were great shows. My dream moment there was, Vivian Campbell came up to play Still of the Night with us. Which is, how cool is this, man? Vivian and David haven't played on stage together in a very long time. And doing well health-wise, and for me it was a thrill to get to bond with those guys in general during that run. It was like the last few shows, Phil Collin had me with his in-ear mix on the side of the stage. He's like, well, if you want to listen to my in-ear mix and my mix, just bring your ears to the side of the stage. And so listening to Phil's own mix and listening to how he's hearing the show, and yeah, great. Really fun for a guy like me, man. I mean, I can remember being in, man, what, 7th grade, watching Photograph on MTV, and and for me, these guys are my hero. Opportunity to kind of, work with some of them or get to know them. Last year's a tough act to follow. Europe is coming up. I think there's going to be some really big, built-in festival type shows over there with large crowds. That'll probably be the huge.
Any of those?
I mean, honestly, I haven't toured Europe like all that much. So for me, getting there and doing a whole lot of it last year was super cool. Like getting to really tour Europe extensively with this band was a great situation for me. So going back this year, I know there's some new destinations, and like I said, I know there's some festivals that'll be, it's the most recognizable set of music I've ever been able to perform, which is in a lot of ways makes the band's job a lot easier, because the audience is going, I hope they play something I know, I hope they play one that I know. And so it does make it a lot easier. It's like, wow, every song gets a great reaction just sort of inherently, and because there's nothing in the set that ever kind of lets up on that, it just gets a great response collectively for the whole night. And
independently at some points, because I noticed tonight the crowd, all the guys were banging their heads to one tune, and then the next tune all the girls are rushing the stage, because it's hard and heavy, and then there's the ballads that, the chicks love. I saw it. I mean, they're like holding hands like 6 in a row, all cutting through,
I just had like a vision of like what would I want to play in Whitesnake when I got the gig, and I was thinking I would like to just do like a black and a white custom Les Paul, and I had some pre-existing ones that were black and white. But then I was like, had this vision of kind of putting the Whitesnake medallion in the body of each one, and maybe doing some kind of artwork on the top. And anyway, so I found a mint to make the Whitesnake medallions, and I contacted my buddy Steve Christmas at the Gibson Custom Shop, and to help me out with that. They came up with a cool snake design, and because we were doing the Purple tour, and you normally wouldn't play Strats too often on, or think of Strats when it comes to Whitesnake, because of last year I did the same thing with a black and white Strat. So I had medallions set into the bodies, and Mike Tempesta at Fender helped me out with that. And then my friends at Atomic Guitar Works, this tiny company in Arizona, had this idea. They're just very ambitious. They said, we want to build you a purple Swarovski crystal guitar with a gold crystal WS on the top. Basically just their version of a Les Paul, And when I got it, I was like, even when they said it to me, I was like, that sounds really over the top. But I'm like, go for it, you know. And when I got it, I thought, it is over the top. If I brought it out for a whole show, people would just be looking at it the whole time. So I realized, I thought, this is the guitar I use for my guitar solo. But there's something cool, I think, about playing basically a collection made specifically for this band that I think are one-of-a-kind guitars then. And, you know, I don't know, there's something fun about that. And there was something fun about starting with all new gear in this band. I got new amps and everything. I've been playing Friedman BE100 amps and Taylor guitars always for the acoustic when we do sailing ships, and the little bit I put in my solo this year, that's acoustic. Effects, I use this Fractal Axe Effects, which is known kind of for having amp sounds in it too, but I don't use those. I just use the effects. I mean, I have a little bit of the GAS, they call it, right? Guitar Acquisition Syndrome. I don't know. Just like anybody else, I see guitars or think of guitars that I want, and then unfortunately I go, well, when am I going to really be using that? It's just going to sit in my apartment if I'm not on tour, or if it's not something I can use on the gigs. That's the tough one. So many I want. I want every Gibson that exists. David's great, and it's all about just me learning what I can from him in this situation, and just enjoying the ride. It's pretty easy with David, you know. Him and I are both a little bit of kind of like the introverts on days off and stuff like that. So we see each other very much like at the venue for the show and hang, and everything is always extremely cordial and cool with DC at all times. He's always just great to be around. He's got a great vibe. So we try and return that favor, you know what I mean? As a band, I think we like to try and inspire David and make him want to be, you know, out here doing this and keeping it all going. He's an extremely witty guy, he really is.
Yeah.
He's lots of laughs. Yeah, I mean, he's been great, man. He really has. It's been great to work for him and work with him, and hopefully we can keep it going, you know. Say the Iron Maiden Peace of Mind, because that's the first show I ever went to. I was in 7th grade, and I think me and my friend got to go. Our moms let us go. And
Did Accept open up?
No, I think it was Quiet Riot.
Oh,
it was when Quiet Riot was just kind of beginning to take off. I think Come On Feel the Noise had just kind of come on the air or whatever, or hit, you know, on radio. And, so they were, yeah, they were first. Technically, it was Quiet Riot, and then, but I was there for Maiden, you know, and it was great. I just went to see him not too long ago at the Garden.
Years ago I saw him down there.
Bruce Dickinson's a hell of a front man. He's just got such energy up there, such command of the stage, man.
He's talking.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Great interview. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So what do you see? The beautiful thing about Rock of Ages was I had 8 shows a week at home, but I could take off whenever I wanted. So any touring I wanted to take during that time, be it going off to play with Night Ranger or play with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, bottom line was I could take any day off and be right back in the next day at Rock of Ages. So for that whole period with Night Ranger, I would fly day a show, for instance, to play with them and take the first flight back. If it would be at a red eye or the next morning to be there for 2 shows. So yeah, it was a lot, and but it was great for me to spend that much time just non-stop in front of an audience. I think that those 6-7 years of doing that many shows were pretty unique. And yeah, that helped me a lot. Yeah. Trans-Siberian Orchestra is 8 shows a week as well, and with that you're changing cities, and you have the signing lines every night. So there's definitely, that kind of schedule is great training, you know, to be able to keep your mind tough. A lot of it is just mental, I think, focus performing that long, you know, having 8 shows a week or these 2.5-hour shows. So it makes jamming for an hour with a band feel like nice and easy. I try to stay productive, man, always, you know, so that's usually taken care of, either doing press for the tour or for just whatever casual press kind of seeing what was up, and I didn't hear anything back, and then I think David heard from some well-respected people, like Foreigner's manager Phil Carson and whatnot, that I would be, Eddie Trunk was kind of one of those people to show support. So I think that it was a combination of all that stuff that led to a call from David. The funny part is that the show Rock of Ages that I mentioned earlier when I was the guitar player on that. 8 shows a week, that show opens with David Coverdale's voice. There's a voice over of him speaking. And so I'd heard that. Now to put that in perspective, about 2,000 times by that point, with that many Rock of Ages shows. So when I got my first voicemail or call from David, there was some kind of weird Pavlovian dog thing happening where I thought the show was beginning. I thought, oh my God, it's the start of the show. But it was actually David, and he had me out, and a lot of it, I think, was just to make sure we meshed personally, and then there was some playing, jammed on some pre-production for the Purple album, and we sang a bit and ate dinner, and I was offered the job.
Him and Reb tonight, when he was making fun of Reb.
Yeah.
You know, impersonating him. I was just thinking to myself, I wonder if you could do that pretty good as well.
They've had I can't do it, David. I mean, just mildly. Michael Devin and Reb are the 2 guys in the band who have good Davids. My voice isn't low enough. I can't. You know what I mean? I don't have that little register. David is great, man. I mean, he's been great to work with on this. Very supportive dude, man. You know, it carries extra weight too. The history he has with guitar players. So when he's kind of in your corner personally and like believes in you, it does make me feel good. I mean, he's worked with a lot of great guitar players, and I think you get through it. It's some of the circumstances that I did my first shows under, like with Night Ranger. I had a couple weeks to learn their set, maybe not even, I think 10 days. But they gave me, it was a lot of new material, and some of the stuff had been rewritten for the live versions, and I basically had to do my first gig with them on no rehearsal and a very limited sound check, and have that much material. It was like going right out on stage with them, having never rehearsed, and only a slight sound check, and doing a gig with them. So it was like my audition for Night Ranger was basically a gig.
Live.
It was like, let's go play a show. That's the way
crowd
it works
reaction.
in today's day and age. You're either a guy filling in or you're auditioning, whatever, but that's the way it works. So that was like that, and filling in for Mick and Foreigner was totally like that. I had one day, man, because Mick had gotten ill at Jones Beach in New York, and I think the next day I was planning to play Rock of Ages at home and then fly to Virginia Beach Day show the following day. So that day off at home became, me talking to Jeff Pilson and him saying, "You're on tomorrow, man, with us." And you're going, "Get me a board tape now, I gotta learn it." And, I mean,
yeah,
think
absolutely.
Of hits as Lady Gaga or whatever, but like very, songs that did probably commercially the best in Whitesnake's history is what we're playing, and it's fantastic. It's great riffs and it's great solos, and there's no limits on it. Like David wants you to do your thing and put on a great show and everything like that. There's no there's not a lot of gigs. You can do a lot of the showmanship stuff that I get to do on this, which is fun for me too, man. I like to get up on stage, and I've always kind of been a high energy guy on stage, so I like being able to do that with Whitesnake too. David just doesn't limit you at all. That's what I mean about it. He's really supportive. Like he lifts players up, I mean, there's not many gigs where you get your own solo in a show and say, the stage is yours for a few minutes now to just play. That kind of thing is.
And be encouraged to be yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And be encouraged to be yourself. So yeah, man, I'm having a good time with the whole experience of playing with these guys. We all get along really well, and we mesh musically. Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind, because that's the first show I ever went to. I was in 7th grade, and I think me and my friend got to go. Our moms let us go.
Oh,
it was when Quiet Riot was just kind of beginning to take off. I think Come On Feel the Noise had just kind of come on the air or whatever, or hit, on radio. And, so they were first, technically. It was Quiet Riot, but I was there for Maiden, and it was great. I just went to see him not too long ago at the Garden again.
We always saw him down there.
Bruce Dickinson's a hell of a front man. He's just got such energy up there, such command of the stage, man.
He's phenomenal.
No, he's great, man.